Right, well, here we are with our first suite of products that we're going to look at today. I'm just fiddling about on the side here and sharing this live across to the group. So the first suite that we're going to look at is the Fine Art Suite, a beautiful suite of products that really can give a lot of texture and depth to any of your creations. Really lovely. I need to dig about actually and find. I did have a play with this yesterday, and it has gone up as part of a blog post. Late last night actually, but really gorgeous suite of products, and we will have a look. Let's just hit share on that, and we'll have a look in more detail at this suite and what we can do with it. Let me just grab this card, hopefully. That you will find on my blog. As I say, that went up late last night. So here's one I made earlier, and this was my first chance to play with this suite actually, but really gorgeous. So let's have a little look at what you get in this suite of products. So the Fine Art Floral Suite. You get a bundle, a stamp set and die bundle, morning Jackie. You get some acetate, some gold leafing, ribbon, a 3D embossing folder, and some beautiful papers and the heat and stick powder. Get my teeth around that. So let's have a little quick look at it in more detail so you can see what is actually included. So this is the art gallery stamp set, and you can see here that you get a solid-ish image. The thing with this suite, and you're going to see it most when we look at the DSP in a minute, the paper that has been created is beautiful. It is acrylic painting, so it's not watercolor. It's acrylic, and on the papers you can absolutely see the texture and the detail of the paint, but actually you're able to sort of almost replicate that slightly using these stamps. You get that idea of there being texture and depth and things to your flowers, because you get this more solid image, and then you get this sort of two-step stamping, this second image that you lay over the top, that you can do either slightly darker or you can use some of that gilding, which we'll be doing in a minute. You've got another little image just there. You can add some centers to your flowers with that. You've got these flowers here, and again you've got this shading that you can add into these blossoms, and then you've got your leaves. So they're not solid images, but what they give you is just really beautiful. And then you get these sort of little strip greetings, if you like, for want of a better word. I miss you, happy birthday, congratulations, and they come into their own when you see them playing next to the dies. Fabulous in their own right, really useful little I miss you, congratulations, happy birthday, sorry, thank you, best wishes. Really useful little sentiments, but when you see them alongside the dies, that really pops in, out. Again, you can see where you might want to combine the two. So this is the set of dies that you get. So you don't get a massive amount of dies, but you get some quite big dies. So you get the die that cuts this flower, you get the die that will cut this little bit just here, you get the die that will cut this flower, you'll get the die that will cut your leaves. So all of your sort of floral images you can cut out. You then get these two sort of zigzaggy type sentiment panels that you can die cut, and you get this big sentiment panel that you can die cut, and these all cut out as individual words, and you have just want to say. So just want to say thank you, just want to say happy birthday, just want to say good luck, just want to say you are lovely. You can see how they start to work together. And as I say, these cut out as individual words. So although it's one big die, they cut out individually. So if we come to the card that I made here, you can see that I cut just want to say out of gold foil. I cut the small zigzaggy panel and stamped the thank you in there. So together they work beautifully. So those are the dies that you're going to get with that suite. It's a very sweet suite. That's am I missing a die? No, I think I've got them all. Okay, so that's those. Oh, I didn't put a number on there. I normally put a number how many dies there are, but I obviously missed that off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So that's your stamp set and your die bundle. You also get a 3D embossing folder, and this is the painted texture 3D embossing folder. I don't know how well you can see this in the background, but I've used that embossing folder in the background here, and it does give you that impression that you've laid down lots of nice thick acrylic paint on that background. I've actually sponged over the top. Well, actually I didn't know. I used my blending brushes to add some colour over the top of that soft sea foam with some old olive ink. But there you can see that texture in the background. So a great embossing folder. Does give lots of texture. We have some really pretty ribbon, and this fine art ribbon has sort of just got these flecks of gold in it. Really pretty. Again, lots of texture is I think the big thing with this suite. We have some acetate. So you get 3 sheets of 12 by 12 acetate. Hi Jane. Hi again. I'm going to be popping up a lot today. Let's bring in this card here and lay these acetate sheets on the top. So on that one you've got this all over floral, and they're gold foiled on one side. If you swap it over, you have got a silver foiling on the back there. You've got this one. It sort of has got these flowers coming down in this sort of swoop down the side there, and then you've got this all over print. So those are your 3 sheets of 12 by 12 acetate. I'm going to leave those there because we're going to be coming back to them in a minute, because then you have the papers, and you can see what I mean on these papers. It looks as if that I should be able to rub my fingers over that and feel that paint. I can't. It is a flat image, but what they have done is these flowers have been painted by hand, and then they have used that painting to create the flowers, and then on the background you get this acrylic paint sort of textured background. There's one with pink flowers on, and you can see reflection of that acetate in there. Obviously 2 of each. This one, blue flowers with a paler acrylic background. This one's got these sort of oranges and pinks, really bright. Look at that paper, isn't it beautiful? Got all these pinks and sort of purples and yellows and reds, and these sort of geometric patterns on the background here. I love this paper. Just look at the texture in those flowers. Just is really lovely with those yellows, and I think perhaps we've come back round. The magic thing about these acetates, if we are now to take these acetates, and I've got to match them up. Is it that one? Yes, it is that one that matches. So if I lay that acetate over the top of that paper, you can see that it matches, and it adds gold foiled detail with the acetate layer over the top. Just stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. If we take this one and we take this one, again, lay that over the top, and that acetate, as well as giving you the shine, gives you the gold foil elements that just sit over the top of that paper. And there's going to be lots of fun you're going to be able to have with that, I think, when you get playing. So that's your papers and your acetate. Gorgeous. And then the other thing that we get in this kit is you get your heat and stick powder. So this works a little bit like your embossing powder. You stamp with Versamark, sprinkle the powder on and heat it. It doesn't need a lot of heating, you mustn't overheat it, but what that gives you then is a sticky surface on which you can put your gold leafing. Now the gold leafing, gilded leafing, comes in a pot like this. It's all packed into a pot like that. I have taken an A5 box and I have exploded. I've emptied my pot out into the box. It's exploded and taken up all that space, and also in there I have got a little sponge, because those are the tools I need for putting gold leafing on things. So that is just, it's a beautiful product, lasts for ages. I'm going to have lots of fun with it. So that is our suite of products for the fine art floral. So yeah, worthy of hanging in any gallery, but we need to have a bit of a play with it. So let's have a bit of a play. What shall we do? Now I can't resist taking some of this paper and some of this acetate and bringing that together. It just is so stunning. So what I'm going to do is take my trimmer, just catching my laptop, which is sliding off the side. Not good, thank you. I'm going to take this acetate and this paper, and I am going to cut I think a 7 centimetre strip on there. I'm going to swing it round and we'll cut a 13.9 strip, I think. I'm going to put this bit to one side because that will make another card, and we'll just have this bit just here. Look how beautiful that is, joined together. Okay, let's have a bit of petal pink, I think. The colours in there are Bumblebee, Flirty Flamingo, Merry Merlot, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Poppy Parade, Pumpkin Pie, So Saffron, Terracotta Tile and Whisper White. So I think we've definitely got some Petal Pink in there, and I think perhaps we could add a touch of Flirty Flamingo. At the moment, I think, because I know that we're waiting on Whisper White card, I'm tending to do quite a few coloured card bases. But the good news is we do know that the basic white card is en route to us. So for those people living in the States, I think they're able to start ordering it. For the rest of the world, obviously, we've got to wait for it to reach us, to clear customs, to get into our warehouses, but it is on the way. So all of that will not be too much longer. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so we will start to see that basic white coming into stock. So if that is something you are waiting on, the news is looking fairly positive. I'm going to cut that in half like that, and I'll swing this round and cut a piece that's 7.5 by 14.4. Just scrummy. I think we'll have some of our ribbon coming across there. Mainly because if I add some ribbon across there, here we go, that will give me something that's going to hide so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little strip of double-sided tape on here where the ribbon's going to come across. I can echo that with a piece of double-sided tape on the back. And if I take the backing off of that tape, I can line this back up. And that will stick that to the paper. Let's bring our ribbon across here. We can stick our DSP to our cardstock. That little flash of flirty flamingo. And we can tuck that round the back. I was perhaps overly generous with that ribbon. We didn't really need that much tucked round the back. I'll trim this down a bit so it doesn't overlap, because otherwise that will make it a little bit too bulky. And you don't want it too bulky on the back there. There we go. Beautiful. I think we'll have our scallopy border just there. And I'll cut that from a, let's find an oddment of petal pink. Let's bring in our baby machine. These are available to customers from today. So if you've been hanging on, waiting because you want a baby machine, Today is the day that you can get, oh, apologies, I'll just beat you up. Today is the day that you can get your hands on one of these. I'm loving mine. There's a little zigzaggy, got a lovely edge on that. A zigzaggy label. Let's have a happy birthday for that. I will grab my flirty flamingo. Just looking for the block that I need. That's the one. Bring in our mat. And let's have happy birthday across there. Beautiful. I think I will take some glue dots to attach that on the top of that ribbon. Let's pick one up there. Come along, little glue dot. Does not want to pick up from the reel. In that case, we'll bring in our take a pick tool. And we'll add that in on the top. Let's just add in a few little dimensionals there. I'm just wondering, do I want something on that card base? I don't think I do. I think I like it like that. I think it's that acetate is all the zing that needs. So that the combination, let's get my words out, the combination of that paper and that acetate really gives you some wow cards without actually having put in a great deal of effort yourself, but just beautiful. So there's a simple card with the acetate. Now the other thing I wanted to play with, obviously we're going to want to play with our leafing, obviously. And let's put these to one side. And let me bring in, let's have some Whisper White card. And I'm also going to need my Stamparatus in a little while. But for now, we're going to have a play with these big flowers. So let's take this big solid image, and I think I'm going to take some Merry Merlot. So pretty, isn't it, Jackie? Right, so I've got some Merry Merlot and I'm going to ink up this big flower here. And let's stamp that. And you can see how you get this sort of almost 3D type effect. Got my stamping scrub here. I haven't wet my Simply Chamois, but that doesn't matter. My stamping scrub is also a brilliant tool. So let's give that a scrub on the wet side and a scrub on the dry side. Now, ooh, there's an "oh, indeed." Just scrabbling around, looking for embossing buds, of which somewhere I have got 2. I can see neither of them. That is not good, is it? Do, 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 do. Well, I think we'll just be brave and go without, and then they will appear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Versamark and I'm going to take this second big stamp, but the one that sort of gives you details rather than the whole solid image. So let's pop away the one with the big solid image. And let's pop this on a block. And I'm going to ink it up with Versamark this time. And we're going to line this up to the best of our ability. It's not perfect. It's about having your best shot. So let's stamp that up with Versamark. Let me find a piece of scrap paper, because at the moment my heat emboss powder is in a little pot. I'm going to sprinkle that over the top just like you would embossing powder and knock it off. You don't want to flick it too hard because it is a much finer powder. So you can see where that powder is now sitting on the top of that flower. So yes, compared to embossing powder, it's a much finer powder. Let's just move that out the way because we are going to heat it. I'm going to heat my heat tool up first. Now it also melts much quicker than embossing powder, and you just want to melt it, so as soon as it's turned, move on, because that should now be sticky. So I'm now going to remove my elastic bands. I have this box well sealed. There's probably going to be some static as I take that lid off. I'm going to pop that into my gilding flakes. This gold leafing Let's give that a little bit of a rub, and then I'm going to take my sponge and just go over the top. Take off any excess. And look at that. Beautiful. So we have one Merry Merlot gilded leaf flower and another gilded leaf flower here. This gilded leaf flower will pop the lid on there quickly so that doesn't escape. You don't want the lid off of that while you're heat embossing or any such madness. You really don't want to drop it on the floor and drop it either, which is why I've made sure it's sealed down with the elastic bands. Sorry about that, we had a quick break in transmission. My internet is being a bit freaky today. So I have this flower. Now for my next flower I'm going to transfer to my Stamparatus, she says. Let me just move some of these things back out of the way. I've been piling things up as I go along. I don't really want to lose any of these things. There's our dies. We shall want those in a minute. And our paper and acetate, and tucked safely underneath there, where I'd put it ready to play, is the Stamparatus. Right, it struck me that with this flower just here, we've got our blossom pieces, we've got our leaves, and then we've got these bits on the side here, and then we've got our bit that goes over the top, our highlights. So I thought I would take this flower image, and this is its first time off of the backing. I'll need that little one in a minute as well. But that I would do this on my Stamparatus because I want to add different colours in. So let's bring our piece of cardstock that we're using in there, and let's pop the flower in there. Pick that up. Let's have that, make sure it's on a line so that we know exactly where we want it to go. That is perfect. So we've got that stamp there lined up on our piece of card, and I'm now going to come in with some of our Stampin' White markers. So I thought for the blossomy flower bits I would come in with some petal pink. And obviously the good thing about doing this is that you can come in and add in a bit more colour. The photopolymer, you do get slight bubbling sometimes when you're using Stampin' White markers. If you've got stamping spots in the right colour, or you've bought some stamping spots so that you can ink them up, you'd probably get away with stamping the relevant parts with stamping spots. Let's add in a bit more petal pink. Let's come in with some So Saffron on these little blobby bits. I'm sort of looking over at my stamp set as well to help guide me as to what is where. And then I'm going to come in with some garden green. We've got our leaf. And our bits of our stems on here. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the little detail stamp and I've picked up some Blushing Bride somewhere there. And I'm going to add in some Blushing Bride on there to give that a bit more detail. Do seem to have a little bit missing. I'll just come in and add in a touch more colour just there. For some reason that didn't pick up. So let's put that to one side for a moment. I'll take that stamp off of there so I don't forget that's where I've put it. And the other thing that we want is some leaves for our big flower. Let's just give that a rub. Let's grab the leaf. So obviously we could have done that with some gold gilding as well if you wanted to over the top of there. But I thought we'd do a bit of mix and matching in terms of techniques. So let's take a mossy meadow. And we'll stamp a leaf just there. So let's cut those out. That bit of cardstock going to run through our machine now. Might have to trim it down slightly either side to make that happen, but that's not too big a deal. Let's take a bit off of that side and a bit off of that side. And I think we're about to be there. And then we'll have our leaf. Flower. I'm not going to be able to squeeze another dye on there without it overlapping, and that we don't want to happen. Oh, I looked away and that moved. I'd got that one held down nice and tightly, and I hadn't got that one held down nice and tightly. Ooh, that won't do. Got the wire from the phone wrapped around the handle. Let's bring that through. And let's get rid of the extra bits on there, and let's die cut our big flower with our beautiful gilding on it. And there's our gild flower. I'm going to grab a bit of, if you can find an oddment of Merry Merlot, I'm going to run the greeting panel, greeting die. With some Merry Merlot cardstock. So just want to say, might leave that on there for a minute until I'm ready to pick them up and use them. But that's those words, beautifully die cut. And I think we'll go with I might actually go again with a bit of soft sea foam. It's nice in that it gives just a slight bit of colour, but it's very subtle. So let's cut a bit of this. That is 10 centimetres by 14.4. Let's find our embossing folder. So this is the Painted Texture 3D embossing folder. I'm going to need to run this through my big machine, obviously, because it's wider than the mini machine. So let's run that through. So that just needs the plate number 1, the bottom plate, and plate number 4, which is the embossing plate. So run that through, and there you can see just how beautiful that is. I'm going to take my Versamark and very gently just going to tickle that across the top there. Let's see how much that has picked up. We can always knock some excess off if we need to. I'm going to bring in my paper and my heat and stick powder. Let's sprinkle that over and see just how much of that has picked up. I think not too much, but hopefully just enough. I could have always, if it felt it was too much overkill, I could have always taken a paintbrush and brushed some off, but I think we're okay. So we have a sort of dusting of heat and stick powder on there. It is only a light dusting and it's not very easy to see, but let's, because it is just a random operation. And the nice thing about this is if I decided I wanted some more poof, I could always go in and add a bit more afterwards. Right, let's put that in there. Perfect. Once more, I am gold foiled. Don't want to waste it. Back you go. Ooh, gold foiled nails, that's quite exotic. So this is not for the faint-hearted. You do get a bit messy, but it is beautiful. So we've just got that sort of touch of gold in the back there. Let's bring in our blooms. We have our gold foiled one and our flowers that we used with our stamparatus. We've got our just want to say. I think we want sort of some sort of little label across the middle there. I'll do that in white. This suite of products is going to be such fun There's going to be so much potential for it and so much that you can do with it. It's lovely to see not just the stamps and dies, but the added elements of things like the foiling, the leafing as well. Is that wide enough? I might just about get away with that. Let's see. Crush stamparatus on the toe is not a good idea. Oh. I've not got my number 2 plate in because I've been embossing. Oh, just nicked it slightly, but I'm sure we can cover that up somehow. So just let's leave out the want. Let's have just to say oh no, that's not what I want. I want one that says I miss you. And I know just who I'm sending this card to. Right, I'm going to take that little label and some mossy meadow. And I'm going to add the I miss you in that bottom corner. Let's glue on just to say. It doesn't matter if this slightly overlaps the label. Come along, little glue. You've been upside down and working beautifully. Don't give up on me now. I think it might be pretty well empty actually. Obviously need to be looking at my glues. They're all of them, not wanting to play. Little pickle, come on. Not one of those wants to work. See? do. Just, let's have a double just there for our double just there. To bring in some dimensionals for this top flower. And then we'll glue on our leaves. And for the other end, it's an empty one too. Let's take the backs off of those and raise that up on dimensionals. Obviously the leaves are going to be raised up as well on this one because it's one big solid piece. And pop some dimensionals on the back here. Let's bring in a little bit of ribbon. To come across the back there. Have a dimensional to hold that down. Oh, not taking the backs off, no wonder they're not sticking down. Trim those up in a minute, and then let's I think we'll go with a Whisper White card base for that one. And as I say, the basic white, although the Whisper White cardstock is now gone, the basic white is on its way, which is good news. So hopefully, say within a couple of weeks, we should be able to order that. So there we go. We've got some of our gold leafing in the background. We've got that embossing folder. We've used those dies. So 2 cards using the Floral Gallery Suite. So I hope you've enjoyed those. If you're a member of my VIP group, do check out the giveaway question. Come and play for your chance to win some goodies. And I look forward to seeing you a bit later on for our next live video.